You know what, I probably have nothing really better to do on a Saturday afternoon if all I have to look forward to is ranking empires of the world, but that's what we're doing, and if you guys were a fan of the lack of editing, you should be also a fan of this video, as there will be almost no editing. But here we go, let's go ahead and start off with the first French Empire. Now, okay, this is a weird list, okay? We have a bunch of hodgepodge of different eras, so we're just going through it. We have S, A, B, C, and D tier. Now, before I label our first victim as such, maybe I should go through the criteria that I have planned. So, essentially, I am going to choose empires based on how I personally feel about them, but also their overall accomplishments and their legacy that they left behind, and as well as their length, so to speak, right? So everything's kind of getting factored in, but keep in mind that I'm going to basically use about 30 seconds of brain power to really decide this. Now, the first French Empire, from what I know, they BTFO'd most of Europe. That already puts them S tier, obviously. But Napoleon's empire only lasted for a small amount of time, really only his lifespan. So I can't really put that in comparison to, let's say, all these other guys that are over here with like their huge length of time that they've been serving or all that stuff. So it's an impressive map, and it's a big French empire. But you know what? We do have multiple Frenches. Or not multiple Frenches, multiple Frances. Oh, fuck, I didn't include Charlemagne's empire. Hold on a second, I have to add this in.
But maybe you want to make your own empire. In that case, I suggest you play Vikings, War of Clans. Vikings, War of Clans is an exciting MMO strategy game with PvP and PvE battles. It is a world where you can create an invincible army and become the mightiest conqueror among millions of players. With a Nordic theme, you can erect great shrines to Odin, fight in battles to gain glory over your Viking enemies and allies. You can form close-knit alliances with your fellow kinsmen, brothers and sisters across millions of players around the world. You can also participate in personal and sea land blitz competitions throughout the month. The game often has different events, such as the Battle for the Throne, which took place just days ago, where you can fight monsters for trophies. The winner of the event gets resources, the king's equipment, and other rewards. So if you're interested in building your own Nordic empire, download Vikings, War of Clans by scanning the QR code on the screen or going to the link in the description below.
Okay, so I mentally have Charlemagne's empire. I have his map saved here, but I can't add it to this accursed app. In any case though, the first French Empire, like I said, pretty strong empire, BTFO'd most of Europe. You don't get those aesthetic borders for no reason. Get the Genoa and Venice trade node, Only problem, one problem, lasted only as long as Napoleon's lifespan, and everybody around this empire basically BTFO'd Napoleon to an island, and then Napoleon came back, but he definitely didn't get this empire back. So I would put it actually at a B tier, actually. Yeah, a B tier, because like at the end of the day, it's a massive empire, beat up a lot of European powers, but then still doesn't last as long as it gets destroyed by its neighbors around them. So definitely B tier. The Songhai Empire. Okay, so this is why, you know, it's a weird list. The Songhai Empire. Oh man. Now, I wanted to include all three of the different African gold salt empires here in the West Africa, but I feel like it would have been a little bit redundant. So I'm going to put Songhai, Mali, and Ghana in this same tier. I would definitely put them as an S tier civilization empire ranking, if I would say so. I would put them all in the same tier, mostly because they're all just kind of building off the existence of the already established West African empire template. You know, the Ghana, Mali, Songhai. The cool parts though are that at the very least Mali had Mansa Musa, and they traveled all the way to Mecca and back. And then Songhai had Askia Muhammad, who employed a lot of unique military tactics. It's really hard to kind of like make them into separate empires because, as I said, they kind of built off of each other. And in the case of Songhai, Songhai was just a vassal state of Mali, and they also encompass the same area of territory. So I'm going to put them on S tier, definitely. The Assyrian Empire. Okay, definitely straight up, already in S tier. Assyrian Empire, how can you really get that wrong? They were the terror of the Middle East in terms of the ancient era, and it took a coalition to bring them down. I gotta say, if it comes to a warlike civilization, I cannot think of anything else than the Assyrians, and a lot of cases, especially when it came to their use of siege weapons. So it's good stuff, you know. Please repopulate more regions by moving around populations. Great shit. Seljuks. Now, the Seljuk Empire, from what I understand, and what I understand of a lot of Turkic empires, is that they have a blend of decentralization. So the Seljuks famously were disintegrating right around the time of the Crusades, and they were losing territories, especially in this western area. If we look at Syria and stuff here, and so the Seljuks, like they do have that legacy that that permeates. But like the thing is that I feel like in comparison to the other Turkish empires, they're not exactly the strongest. But like look at that, look at those borders. Big borders. Can't argue with big borders. Big borders are big borders. But I'm gonna put it on B because I feel like if I were to compare them to other Turkish empires, and we will see them, it's gonna look a lot more like, oh, okay, well, this is definitely more of a B slot for the Seljuks. The Aztec Empire. The Aztecs were a funny empire. They went around the Central America, participated in flower wars, which are these wars where you wouldn't destroy a culture, you just kind of like would fight like a couple of guys, and then you would take the winner would like take captors and then like do their whole funny sacrifice and stuff. And then obviously they did lose to the Spanish, but they also, the Spanish got a lot of help from native allies around them, so obviously that's kind of like hacks, or what can you do? Yeah, I just couldn't continue the list until we added in the other factions too. So I added in Charlemagne as well as the Dutch Empire and Italians. I can't believe I forget them, but you know, some of these we should forget. Anyway, the Aztecs. So Aztecs, very influential, very influential in Mesoamerican as well as in Mexican culture later down the line, and the achievements that they've made with their civilization is incredible. But I mean, compared to like, I don't know, or what am I supposed to say? What am I supposed to say here? You guys, you sacrificed people, you did the funny. It was quite funny, I'll be honest there, but it's your own undoing. Also, Mans didn't get the Tech 14, Tech 11. Where's your matchlock tech? So, for what it's worth, I mean, I think personally they're an A tier civilization. They're probably not an S tier, as like longevity is definitely an issue when you get conquered by the Spanish. But hey, it was a wild ride, and I did also love Road to El Dorado. So there is that. Ayyubids, they BTFO'd the Crusaders. They, well, I shouldn't really say they. It was Saladin who basically destroyed the Crusaders on multiple occasions, and then also got himself destroyed too. Fair enough. But he was able to consolidate his empire, conquer from Syria to Egypt to Mecca and Medina here, and then have his base in Levant after conquering Jerusalem. It's a really shitty map because it's in pink. From what I know, his empire falls apart soon after his sons take over. See Islamic history be like. I would probably put him in C, honestly, if I'm going to be entirely honest. The empire does fall apart pretty fast. But hey, good job for beating out the Crusaders. You did pretty good there, fam. Carthaginians. Now, the Carthaginian Empire did get royally rocked by the Romans, but they did hold out on several occasions. They did quite well, I think, at first with their navy, and then all of a sudden the Romans just took their, I don't know what happened. The Romans just like saw their ship and they mass engineered them, and then afterwards they were able to outwit and outperform the Carthaginians at sea. It was kind of crazy. You guys lost to your own invention. Couple that with the fact that they also screwed over Hannibal by not giving him more supplies and troops in his second war, and then they got burned by Rome. So D. Okay. In any case, we got ourselves Ilkhanate, I believe. What do I remember from the Ilkhanate? They get weak. They get conquered by Tamerlane. That's what I remember from Ilkhanate. I think that's all I really need to remember here. Could be wrong. Why do I have two Aztecs? All right, listen. You know what? We'll just deal with it when it comes to. Okay. So anyway, Ilkhanate. Yeah, kind of thinking their legacy is probably not as much as even Tamerlane's. Honestly, Tamerlane's legacy is huge. No, Ilkhanate is more of a footnote, like definitely like a bridge between like, oh, who are these guys? Oh, well, the Genghis Khan, he fell apart and the Ilkhanate stayed around, but Ilkhanate, you're not doing so hot after that. I think putting you on D. British Empire, S tier, obviously British. You know what? They got everybody speaking this language. Look at this. I'm speaking English. That's already proof enough that they're S tier. I'm not speaking, they're French. Obviously, I'm not. Because their colonial empire sucked. We'll look at that later. Egyptian Empire. I'm going to put this at D. Honestly, Egypt's biggest accomplishments happened in their own kingdom, so to speak. And I wouldn't consider when they went beyond the borders of Egypt and into like Sudan and Syria that I think that like this was the defining factor of Egypt. Egypt had already been known for thousands of years beforehand. So in terms of empire ranking, D, stay there, dumbass. Believe that is Abbasids, Abbasid Caliphate. Now I feel like I should bring the Umayyads too, so I can get two in one go. Where are you, Umayyad? You're somewhere. You're a bit sussy. I'm not gonna lie. You both have the same borders, pretty much. I think this is you right there. Okay, so Umayyad and Abbasid. Now, I'm going to put Now, the thing is about the Abbasids is that they did decline over time, but the Abbasids lived for an enormous amount of time. They've lasted for a huge amount of time. The Umayyads, meanwhile, got complacent, lazy, and then lost their overall rulership to revolts. So, not looking good. But they did conquer, like, basically the entire world. So, I'm definitely putting them on A tier. But then I'm putting Abbasids on S tier. And that's because I think that the Abbasids are much better, and their legacy is much higher. Achaemenid Empire, S tier. World's first superpower. Do I even need to say anymore? Do I need to explain why the Achaemenids deserve to be on this list? In fact, we're going to reorganize this at the end, but I assure you Achaemenids will probably be right here at the start. What the fuck is this? It's only do you see this? There's only a line, a dash. What is this supposed to be? I think this was Akkadian Empire. I think the only thing I know from Akkadian Empire was that they were the first empire led by Sargon of Akkad. So A tier. Daddy. Is this Portugal? Yeah, Portuguese Empire. More Portuguese colonial empire. Portugal did a very big funny with Brazil and some African colonies, but I think I'm definitely putting them on D tier. In terms of colonial empires, they're definitely on and also like they had to fight against people that weren't as technologically advanced as them, so you could make the argument that they weren't really playing a fair fight here, but you know, empire is all fair in love and war. They also lost a lot of their colonies to even the Safavids, so you know, Portuguese power isn't really that strong. Yuan, Chinese dynasty. There's a lot of Chinese dynasties actually. Maybe I should move them all in one go, but it would be, no, there's a lot of them. There's actually a fair bit. In fact, these are two duplicates. So Yuan, Mongol dynasty after I think this was after the fall of the Genghis' empire, and then there was the successor states. So if I'm remembering my history correctly, remember 30 seconds of power only. There's a lot of nations to go through. So Yuan, I would say that in terms of big borders, they're definitely B tier. I don't know if they're overall shaped up in comparison to the other Chinese empires. I'm going to put them on B tier for now because big borders. But they're not really even a Chinese empire. But I don't really care about that though, right? We're just comparing empires. Fatimid Caliphate. The first Shia Caliphate, that's for sure. Very successful. I mean, you can even see it. They reach all the way to Morocco. It's kind of crazy. And they were very much the only competitor to the Abbasids. In fact, in many ways, you can consider them to be on par with the Abbasids. Now, I'm going to put them below because their legacy isn't that much. But if you were to tell me what a competitor to the Abbasids were, it was Fatimids. Okay, well, this is a duplicate, so we're putting it in the back of the school bus. Japanese Empire. Yes, the funny genocide, rape, empire. Yes, let me think about this really quick. So, if we want to be generous, most of their empire really started when they conquered Korea in the 1800s. Beforehand, the Koreans kept beating the shit out of the Japanese, so there was that. And then a lot of their empire has been developed during World War II and the intermediate period of World War I and World War II. So, in terms of longevity, not a lot. In terms of legacy, the Japanese definitely left a legacy. I mean, a lot of Asian countries are racist to Japan for probably good reasons if we're using World War II as an example. But I would honestly, even though this is a massive portion of the planet, I'm gonna probably put them on D tier and put Portugal as C tier, because Portugal still has a legacy. Brazil still speaks Portuguese. Japan's legacy is just pain and exploitation. So they have a better colonial empire game than Portugal, so maybe I put both on C tier. This whole list is coming into question. I know Carthage is getting D. Roman Empire, I believe, or is this Byzantine Empire? This is Byzantine Empire. So Byzantine Empire, one of the longest serving empires in history, definitely S tier. Definitely S tier. No question about that. Khmer Empire. I don't know much about this. And because I don't know much about this, I don't know if I can give an informed opinion on Southeast Asia. From what I know, this empire of Khmer was one of the strongest. And is this the empire with the 10,000 elephants? I could be entirely wrong with that myth with 10,000 elephants. So I'm going to put them on D tier, and this is really just me being a stupid American, but like, I just don't know much about Khmer actually. Kingdom of Aksum, I know them though. Kind of like not an Ethiopian empire, but situated around Ethiopia. It's a big empire, stretches from southern Arabia all the way into like western, like southern Sudan and stuff like that. Like it's a big chunk of place. The Sassanids did push them back though and conquer Himyar when Aksum lost control of Himyar and it became a remnant kingdom. Funny enough, the Sassanids used repeating crossbows apparently from China, which is cool. We're gonna put them probably on C or B tier. See, they're actually a kingdom, so I think I'm gonna put them on D tier. You losing Himyar kind of like reduces your points a bit. Hittite Empire, okay, OG Empire. I think in terms of empire builders, probably more successful than the Egyptians, that's for sure. But they lost to the Sea people, so I don't know. Hard to say. Now this whole list comes into question. I'm putting you above because at least you survived the Sea peoples. Hittites, you're D. In what universe would I put Hittite as a D tier? But they're D tier. Which China is this? Oh Lord, have mercy on my soul. I don't know which China this is. Let me go back to you. So they're both actually around the same amount of time, like several centuries of length. So it's very hard to actually determine it. I can determine both of these ranks based on size, and not even on length. I'm gonna put it on Ming because funny EU4 game, and then yeah, you can go behind him, Han. A tier. Actually, you probably should put them in S tier as the premium Chinese civilizations. I believe this is the Gupta Empire, and this is the Mauryan Empire. Oh Lord, look at this! Look at what I've done! Look at! I'm a monkey or something. Look at this! I have the same empire. Oh no, this is Mughals. Okay. So I believe this is Gupta, Mauryan, and Mughals. So we're gonna go down it this way. So Gupta. Look at that, kind of small, I'm not gonna lie, small boy, you go to small boy corner. So because of that, I'm putting small boy Gupta at A tier. I'm gonna put Mauryan on A tier as well. I'm gonna put Mughals on S tier. Mughals' legacy is massive, and probably a huge reason why India is even still, or the Indian subcontinent is even still Muslim to this day. Mauryan and Gupta empires, I also don't know much about them, though I do know that they're, I mean, just by the size, they're probably super strong Hindu states. So I'm definitely putting them, I'm definitely confident putting them in A tier, but I don't know much about them to put them on S tier, so I'm sorry, I'm evil. Attila the Hun's empire, probably in C tier, if I'm gonna be honest. It's a massive empire, huge, but is it even an empire or just one dude's basic, like, you know, fighting pit or something where he could just like pull out troops that he wants to raid people around him? I don't know, probably just an empire tributary states. At the end of the day, what's really the difference? But I could tell from just looking at Attila the Hun's attire that the man does not care for running an empire. And speaking of empires, Holy Roman Empire, it's neither holy nor Roman an empire, so it's on D tier. In fact, it should really have its own category. And you know what? I think we need to do that. There we go, a new category, and we can put you right there. Yep, there you go, with all your other lies. Alexander the Great's empire. All right, well, we're getting into good stuff here. Now, here's the thing. I said this before in the Persian video. He conquered a lot of land, but he only lasted as long as he died. So, the same as the French Empire, honestly. He did beat the shit out of the Achaemenids, so C tier. There you go, done. Okay, fine, I'll put him B tier. Okay, but I'm not putting him on A tier because his empire wasn't even an empire. Alright, so Abbasids again, go down there. Wait a minute, wait a gosh darn minute. Wait a minute. Where did the Ilkhanate go? Oh no, there they are. Okay, good. No, this isn't the Ilkhanate. This is the Parthians. This, oh no, this is Tamerlane. This is what happens when I only have like maps to base my knowledge off of. Oh god. The fact that I know these maps is kind of like bad enough. It shows how much of a map gamer I've become. No, never mind, it's Ilkhanate, I'm just blind. Okay, so next one, Ottoman Empire. Definitely S tier, probably the strongest Islamic empire to ever exist, period. They weren't successful in some of their campaigns. They definitely were falling off towards the 1800s. But man, oh man, from the 1400s to the 1800s, it was wild ride. And, I mean, what more can I say on the Ottoman Empire? They're the longest living, they're kind of like the strongest in several periods. They're certainly the largest if you count maximum extent. But look at this map, it's gorgeous. I don't know. I can't really say a lot about the Ottomans that you guys don't already know about them. This is Tamerlane's empire, so I'm gonna put him probably on actually B tier. And the reason why is that, one, him and his son kickstarted the Timurid Renaissance, which built up like this huge scene of scientific like advancement in Central Asia and stuff, and Persian art. So I'm gonna give him a lot of credit for that. And he did also create a giant empire and kill millions of people. But hey, besides stacking people's heads onto pyramids, he was a cool guy. Parthian Empire. I'm gonna give them B. They beat the shit out of Rome countless times, and they were just a confederated consort. I mean, they weren't confederated, but they were just an assortment of Parthian kings ruled over by one Parthian king. You gotta admit, like, pouring gold down a Roman's throat leaves an impact. Chola Empire. I don't know shit about them, but like, look at this map. It's so aesthetic. They conquered from southern India into Indonesia. I love it. It's getting a B tier at the very least. Roman Empire, S tier. I don't need to say anything about the Roman Empire. Russian Empire. S tier. I would say so. They were the largest empire in the time. So yeah, definitely S tier. Safavid Empire. This is gonna hurt me. Okay. I'm putting the Safavids on S tier because of the sheer fact that despite being flanked by the Uzbeks, the Mughals, and the Ottomans, they were able to stay alive and deal all three of these empires major blows. Couple that with the fact that they had Abbas the Great, and then Nadir Shah, who I pretty much also count as part of the Safavid Empire since he did a lot of his Ottoman killing under the Safavids. So I'm going to definitely put him on S tier. I didn't have an Afsharid empire list because we should only just put in like the best empires. Seleucids, large empire, that's for sure. They did last for a while, but then they got destroyed by the Parthians, and I don't really know where to put them. I think I would put them below Alexander the Great's empire in B tier. This is the Spanish colonial empire. I'm definitely putting that in a S tier category. I mean, the impact that Spanish empire has created, basically, I pretty much run by someone who speaks Spanish almost every day of my life. So, I think that's a lot of people in some places of the world, especially ones in Mexico. So there you go. Qing Empire, S tier, probably not. A tier, probably yes. Had a good run. The end was pretty bad. Stay away from opium. French colonial empire. Now, I'm probably putting this on... I mean, the problem is that the French colonial empire just got smaller and smaller all the time until it only became like these African possessions and possessions in India. Like, it's showing off like India here. I mean, well, possessions in Middle East. Showing off India here and Canada and stuff. I would really strongly hesitate to like put these guys on the same league as the Spanish Empire, even with their influence. It's just the empire itself doesn't feel like it's like all that big, honestly. Besides having Africa as well as like France proper itself. It does count French mainland positions though, so I think I will put this on S tier then. Okay, whatever. Sassanids, definitely S tier. Successors to all the Persian empires on S tier. Okay, well, we'll reorganize later. But basically, the perfect successors to Achaemenids beat the Romans up too many times. We can ignore that for now. Okay, so that's British done. That is French done. Songhai done. Charlemagne's empire, I believe. Or is that, what is that? I think that is Charlemagne's empire. So Charlemagne's empire, big boy, beat the shit out of the Muslims, stop them from conquering Europe, you know, blah, blah. We don't want anybody to stop eating pork and stuff like that. So definitely big ol' empire. Created actually the states of Germany and France. So their legacy is massive. I would put them on, B tier. B tier, yeah. Okay. So who's left? The Syrians are down, Seljuks are down. North Sea Empire. Now the North Sea Empire is pretty cool, and I do like the sound of a Viking empire stretching between the seas, only linked up by canoes and their rowboats. I mean long ships. I'm sorry, it's late. So in any case, I would probably put them, judging by the landmass, I would personally put them on C tier. Not a big empire by any stretch of the imagination. I don't really know much about their information too. But I could be wrong, and they could be wildly influential, and I'm an asshole. And you know what? I accept it. Italian Empire. Okay, well here's the good stuff. They're going on D. What the fuck is this? If honestly, we should put them on, put them with the lies category, but the Holy Roman Empire deserves their own thing. Now, have I made the mistake? Dutch Empire. Dutch Empire, yeah, it's, I'd put them on C tier. Definitely the same extent as Portugal, but not as bad as in Italy, because Lord, you can't be as bad as Italy. What is next on the agenda? It would be, Parthians. We did do Parthians, yep. We did do Romans, Russians, Seleucids. We did, just did about every of them, actually. I feel like I'm missing more, which is so weird, but like, I pretty much got everybody. Well, I'm not, I am kind of ignoring a particular, you know what, hold on, let me bring them. Alright, so I remember who I forgot. I forgot my favorite World War II and World War I guys. So anyway, we got ourselves, let's start with World War I. So the German Empire and the Austrian Empire. I would say that the German Empire is definitely on level of S tier. I mean, they pretty much held up World War I by the bootstraps. And without them, without their Austrian-Hungary ally, who is... they have a long legacy, so I'm putting them on C tier, right? And they're humongous, but I would have definitely put them on D tier just for their stupendous performance alone in World War I. And then finally, the funny Nazis, where do I put them? So a good, what is it? How long did they last for? Like a decade and a few years after that. It's a pretty wild run, I gotta say. I mean, that World War II phase was, they got some expanding to do. I mean, look at those borders there. But they are Nazis, and I mean, honestly, Hitler literally attacked every nation that he could, and if he just kind of like, maybe, I don't know, focused his time on one at a time, or maybe wasn't a racist and tried to kill millions of people, instead maybe took those millions of people and incorporated them into his military and nation, and had a proper society built instead of one that was racist, and ultimately would have brought on its own end. I don't know. I do think that the Nazis probably don't deserve a spot really anywhere here, but I'm gonna put them on B tier. Just their policies overall is basically what does them in the end. I mean, their military success, you can't chalk it up to, you know, sheer dumb luck or the Russians being bad. They did do well for themselves. It's just, come on, guys. We need to learn some diversity training here. But let's add 2 more nations to round this all off. We got ourselves the Soviets and we got ourselves the Americans. Now, I'm going to put the Soviets and the Americans both on S tier. Massive hyperpowers that dominated and changed our whole planet. Influential beyond all belief. And I think that's really about it. I don't have to really name anything else. Everybody else has been pretty much chosen. If you guys go into the comments and tell me if I've missed any of these nations that I was supposed to put down, you could let me know and tell me I have Alzheimer's or something. But for now, I think everybody's pretty much here. So let's go ahead and organize it. So this is going to be very weird. I'm going to do some organizing from the top down, I believe. So in terms of revolving order, I'm putting the Achaemenids up first. Listen, world's greatest superpower versus world's first superpower, ruled over most of the planet's population at the time. So I'm going to give it to them. Followed by British. They're just big. Mongols! Oh, why did I forget the Mongols? Alright, I'm back. I added in Mongols. We're putting them on S tier. There we go. So anyway, put in, you know, the Achaemenids, the British, the Mongols, obviously. The largest empires to ever existed. That's where they're going. We're also going to put in Romans right over there too. So in my opinion, these 4 empires here are personal taste alone. So I'm going to put the empires that I like more in position. There we go. So Persians, Mongols, Romans, British. These empires are very influential. I don't think I need to even like specify why it is that they deserve that spot. Followed up by probably the Abbasids. And then afterwards, we'll put the Gunpowder Empire of the Ottomans behind them. And then we'll put the Mughals behind them. And then we will put the... No. What we'll do is we'll put the Byzantines, actually, I think, ahead of the Abbasids. We'll put the Byzantines ahead of the Abbasids. No. We'll put the Abbasids ahead of the Byzantines. Legacy is unmatched. And then we'll put the Byzantines ahead of the Ottomans. And then we'll put the Ottomans ahead of the Mughals. And then we'll put the Mughals ahead of the... Well, in terms of Chinese... Let's put in Chinese empires first. You see, this is going to be difficult, right? So, I'll put like Ming and Han probably below Mughals and Ottomans. But as you can see, like, this is... They're hyperpowers, right? Like, what are we even doing here? I'm putting the Neo-Assyrian... Okay, I know. I'm putting the Western African countries here. And then afterwards, I'm putting the Neo-Assyrian Empire right here. And then I'll put in... Is the Sassanids? Yeah, I'll put in the Sassanids below them. Hold on a tick. Oh, they're a good successor. I want to put them on the... I would actually put the Sassanids on the same tier as the Byzantines, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, because their influence is monumental. Okay, and then I'm gonna put the Safa. I'm gonna put the no. I'm gonna put West Africa. Yeah, that's good enough. Okay. So then I'll put the Safavids before them, and then I'll have the Neo-Assyrian Empire here, and then we could do the European Empire. So the Russians, followed by the Portuguese, the French. Actually, if I want to really compare it, how about Russians? No, Germans and then Russians, French and Portuguese, and then afterwards we have America and Soviets. So we'll put we'll put America before Soviets. Definitely more of an America fanboy. That's my list right there of what I prefer, so to speak. I think I'm definitely doing some favoritism with these first four. I think I'm a little bit legit when it comes to this stuff. Putting Safavids and Assyrians before the Europeans is intentional. I do think the Safavids are probably more influential than the Portuguese are. That's hard to say, right? Because, like, if we compare populations, it's really not the same. If we compare time and, like, the amount of cultural influence, though, I think, like, the amount of Persianite influence that the Safavids have created can compete with Portuguese. I don't know. Oh, man, this is so hard to really think of, actually. Putting Neo-Assyrian Empire and the behind on superpowers, because even though it was the first, that's really all it's known for. I think I might put Safavids. No, I'm putting them ahead because these are recent, very recent. These two at least are more recent than the Safavids. Colonial empires I might just keep here. Really, it's not like I'm determining the strength, right? Like, obviously the French Empire and Portuguese were stronger than the Safavids, but the Safavids, for example, beat the shit out of the Portuguese and took back Hormuz, so good for them. And I'm only putting the United States and Soviet Union here because they this legacy doesn't compare to a nation like the Romans that's survived for centuries. Centuries longer than the United States. Okay, so in terms of A tier, let's go A tier. You know what? Actually, what would make this easier is if I took these European nations and put them on A tier, because these are major powers, not global superpowers. But if that's the case, then I gotta move Safavids too. So let's move everything here that isn't a superpower. Better. These are all considered superpowers. Okay. So then these are what I consider major powers, I guess, or in the case of the Umayyads, which I would put ahead as they pretty much created everything. The Akkadians will be behind, so then we have like this good middle area. I'm gonna put the Qing below them. I'm gonna put the Russians below them. I'm gonna put the Indian empires below the Russians. And then I will put in, I think I'm going to put the colonial empires here, maybe? Yeah, I might put them right there, honestly. And then we will put Fatimids ahead of Safavids. Actually, no, we'll put Safavids ahead of Fatimids. Aztecs will be ahead of the Safavids. I think that's fair. And the German Empire could be ahead of the Akkadians, because it's really not that big in comparison. Alright, and now B tier time. B tier, I think I would consider not Tamerlane. Yeah, I'll put Tamerlane in B. I'll put Seljuks below Tamerlane. I'll put the Yuan dynasty. Actually, I'll put the Yuan dynasty ahead of Tamerlane. Actually, I'll put Parthians below. Or I'll put Parthians in the middle of Seljuks and Tamerlane. I'll put the French. I'll put the French in the back. Put Charlemagne forward here. Put Alexander the Great's empire ahead of the French. I'll put the Nazis actually in I'll put the Nazis there. I'll put the Nazis in B. I know some of you wereboos are out there. Seljuks here. Charlemagne is here. Yeah, that's good. Cholo there. Seleucids, I would probably put below Alexander the Great's empire. And probably below, no. The legacy is massive. Nah, actually, I'm gonna put them below that. Yeah, much better. Much better. Okay, and now we're going to look at C tier factions. So definitely at the top of the list, I think I'm gonna put the Huns, and then the Japanese. Yep. South Sea Empires. North Sea Empire. Whoopsie daisy. We got the Austria-Hungarians. Then we got the new Egyptian Empire, and then afterwards we've got, no particular order, Ayyubids. What is this? Dutch, I believe. Dutch. This is Portuguese. Oh, and that's Spanish. Oh my God, I'm putting Spanish ahead of French. My bad, Spanish speakers. My bad. Okay, let's fix this up really quick. D can go below you, but Italy will go below you, and Aksum will go. Yeah, actually, I like that. So Hittite. Why is Hittite so below? Why am I putting them so below? Put them on D tier. For Lord's sake, put them ahead of the Egyptians. My goodness, I cannot believe I'm showing Hittites this much shade. For no reason. Ilkhanate will keep him as such. I really do not want to put Khmer here. I wish I just knew more about Southeast Asia, but I just do not. So, yeah, just there. Aksum could be, you know what, this is perfect list. This is my list for the top best Watch Mojo empires in history. Do you agree with this list? Do you not agree with this list? Do you think that I should delete my YouTube channel? Why don't you guys tell me in the comments down below, and let me know if you guys want to see more of this type of format of content. Bye bye.